You tell yourself you're just looking. That's how it starts. A tab open at midnight, a review video you watched for 20 minutes without meaning to. Standing in a store holding something you already told yourself you weren't going to buy. And the weird part is you already know, before you buy it, what you're hoping it fixes. That's been true at every level. $30, 30,000, numbers that should have been big enough that you'd stop asking the question. They weren't. Every purchase is the same purchase, just wearing a different price tag. You're not buying the thing, you're buying permission. Permission for what depends on where you are. First paycheck lands on a Friday. After taxes, it's smaller than the number you'd been telling people for 2 weeks. You open the app, stare at it, close it, open it again, like maybe it updated while you were looking away. That afternoon, someone at work says they're going out after. You say, yeah, you'll come. You already know what you're buying before you walk in. 2 people on your team have it. And every time they put it on the table, you put yours face down. You've been doing that for 6 weeks. You're tired of doing that, so you buy it. $87. The kind of number you don't call a decision, you call it nothing, you call it treating yourself, you call it finally. You put it on the table that night. Nobody notices. One person glances over. That's enough. You go home and check your bank. The number is smaller now. You close the app faster than you opened it. Here's what's happening on the other side of that purchase. You got paid. Within 48 hours, every app on your phone already knows. Nobody told them. Your behavior changed. You opened 3 shopping apps in one day. You slowed down on things you scrolled past last week. The algorithm doesn't need your bank statement. It just needs you to hesitate. Buy now, pay later. 4 easy payments. 0 interest for 12 months. That language is doing something specific. It makes paying full price sound like you're the one making the mistake. The terms are there, in gray, in a font that technically qualifies as readable. Nobody reads it. By day 9, the thing is just the thing you have now. And somewhere in there you notice the next thing, the one that everyone who has the first thing also seems to have. The one that would make the first one make sense. The good feeling from the table that night? Gone inside 2 weeks. The thing didn't give you belonging. It gave you one glance from one person, and then it was just a thing in your bag. So the question comes back. Quieter, but there. And you answer it the same way you always do. You move out on a Saturday in March. Your dad helps carry boxes. He doesn't say much. At the end, he stands in the empty living room, looks around, says it's small but it's yours. You say yeah. He hugs you. He leaves. You sit on the floor because the couch isn't arriving until Tuesday. The rent is 38% of your take-home. You calculated that at 1:30 in the morning 3 weeks before signing, and then closed the spreadsheet and didn't open it again. The number made you uncomfortable. The alternative made you more uncomfortable. So you signed. That's basically how every decision gets made at this level. Not the best option, just the one you can stomach explaining out loud. The credit card offer arrives 11 days after you move in. Thick envelope, heavier than it needs to be. $2,000 limit, your name already embossed on the front like it was always going to end up in your hands. 24.99% APR printed near the bottom in a color that almost matches the background. You activate it that night. Tell yourself it's for emergencies. The first emergency is a dinner you didn't want to miss. $41. The second emergency is a lamp because the apartment feels depressing without one. $63. The third emergency is just a Sunday and your friend texts about brunch. By month 4, the balance is $640. You pay the minimum. You don't look at how much of that minimum is actually interest. The statement is designed to make that number hard to find. That's not an accident. Here's what Sunday night looks like at this level. 11:15. Can't sleep. You open your banking app. Checking is lower than you thought. You scroll back through transactions trying to figure out where it went. Uber. Dinner. That thing you bought twice because the first one broke. A subscription you forgot about. Another one you definitely forgot about. Paycheck is Thursday. You need to make it to Thursday. You move $40 from savings to checking. Tell yourself you'll put it back. Phone goes face down. You stare at the ceiling for a while. Monday morning you get dressed. You look good. You stop at the coffee place your coworkers go to, not the one 2 blocks closer that's $2 cheaper. You order what you always order. You laugh at something in the elevator. You sit at your desk. Nobody knows about the $40. Nobody knows about Sunday night. Both things are true at the same time. That's the whole game at this level. One coworker, same salary, same title, started the same month, still lives with roommates. You made a joke about it once. He laughed. 6 months later, you find out he's been maxing his Roth IRA since February. Not because he told you, you overheard it. Conversation you weren't supposed to catch. You don't say anything. You go back to what you were doing. But you sit with it. Saturday night you split dinner, $43. You smile when you send it. You get home and move $60 from savings to checking because the phone bill drafts Monday and the streaming service renewed yesterday and you didn't notice until right now. The smile and the transfer happen in the same night. Same hands, same phone. Nobody sees both. And that's kind of the whole thing about this level. You're not building stability, you're maintaining the look of it. And the look costs just a little more than the real thing would have. Permission to feel successful. The promotion comes on a Tuesday. Your manager calls you into a small room, closes the door, tells you the title and the number, slides a paper across the table. You look at it. You say thank you. You shake her hand. You walk back to your desk and open your laptop like nothing happened. You stare at the screen for about 4 minutes without reading anything on it. That night, you tell yourself you're not going to do anything stupid. You're going to be smart. Save the difference. You've read the articles. You know what people do wrong. You last 11 days. It starts the way it always starts. Not with wanting a car, but with something feeling off about the one you have. The car runs fine. It's gotten you everywhere for 3 years. But it's the car you had before. And now you're in meetings where people actually ask your opinion, you got a new email signature, and you keep walking out to the parking lot and getting into the same car. It just feels weird. You can't really explain it better than that. Saturday you go to the dealership, just to look. The salesperson shakes your hand. He's good at this. He doesn't ask what car you want. He asks what you're comfortable with monthly. You notice the question is different. You answer it anyway. Somewhere around 400. He nods like that's totally reasonable. Walks you to something. You sit inside. Seat adjusts automatically. Screen is huge. Smells new in a way that makes you want to stay in it. He comes back with a number. $420 a month. You don't ask what the total cost is. He doesn't offer it. You sign things. You initial things. There's a page about gap insurance, and he explains it in a way that makes not getting it sound irresponsible. There's a documentation fee, an acquisition fee. You ask what that is. He says it's standard. You nod like that answered the question. You drive home in the new car, radio off. You just drive. At a red light, you look at the logo in the center of the wheel for longer than makes sense. Horn behind you, green light. You go. 3 years from now they'll call you again. New model, lower payment somehow, new paperwork, same smell. You don't think about that part yet. You're still in the red light. You're still in the feeling. Here's what doesn't get said at the dealership. 36 months at $420 is $15,120. At the end, you hand the car back. No equity. Nothing to show for it except you drove it. 15 grand to feel like the promotion was real, and the promotion was already real before you walked onto that lot. Your colleague Isabel parks next to you on a Wednesday. She drives a 2017 Civic with a crack in the side mirror taped over with clear tape. Someone made a comment about it at lunch once. She looked up, said, "It gets me where I'm going," went back to her food. 8 months later, you find out Isabel puts 15% of her gross into a brokerage account every month. Has been doing it for 2 years. You find out because she mentions, without making a thing of it, that she's thinking about buying a place. Same salary, same title, same start date as you. You do the math quietly and don't say anything. You laughed at the mirror thing at lunch that day. That's the part you think about later, that you laughed. That night you sit in the new car in your parking spot for a minute before going inside. You take out your phone. Think about taking a photo of the dashboard. Hold it up, put it back down without taking it. You go inside, you make dinner. You eat it standing up because you haven't bought a table yet. $420 a month, and you're eating standing up in your own kitchen. You don't really connect those two things for a while. Permission to stop questioning. Something shifts at this level. The savings account has 5 figures and stays there. Credit card gets paid in full every month. That specific anxiety, the one that lived in your chest between Thursday paychecks, it's mostly gone. You'd think that would make everything feel better. It does, mostly. Except now you know enough to know exactly what you're not doing. You've read the articles, watched the videos, you've opened the brokerage app 3 times, gotten to the fund selection screen, and closed it. Opening it means picking something. And picking something means sitting with all the months you didn't, the lease, the apartment you upgraded too early, the card you paid minimum on longer than you said you would. You've calculated that number. You close that tab too. One evening, you're on the couch with the apartment calculator open on your laptop. A food delivery notification drops down from the top of the screen. You click it without thinking. You close it, look back at the calculator. The number is still there. You close the laptop. You turn on something to watch. You don't remember what it was the next morning. And that's kind of how it goes. It doesn't feel like avoiding the question, it feels like being tired. The couch is here. The question can wait until Monday. Monday comes, you're busy. Monday becomes 3 weeks. 3 weeks becomes just how things are right now. You know what you should be doing, you're just not doing it yet. The bank calls on a Thursday afternoon. Not a push notification. A real person. Name, direct line, calm, unhurried voice. He says he's been assigned to accounts at your level. Your level. He says it like that. You have a 40-minute conversation. He asks about your timeline, your goals, what you want the next 10 years to look like. He listens well. He remembers what you said 3 questions ago and brings it back at the right moment. It feels like being taken seriously in a way the app never did. At the end, he suggests a managed portfolio. Professional oversight. He says a lot of people at your stage find it takes the guesswork out. The expense ratio is 1.2% annually. He mentions it once inside a longer sentence and moves on. You don't stop him and ask what that means over time. The conversation is warm. It has momentum. You don't want to be the person who makes it weird. He's not lying to you. He's a real person who probably does think this is a good product. He also has a number he needs to hit this quarter. The fee hides inside the relationship and compounds quietly for years, while the quarterly calls keep coming and you keep not asking the question. You sign the forms. He says, "It was great talking with you." You mean it when you say the same. That weekend, you start looking at apartments. The place you're in is fine. But it's the place you moved into before any of this. And the guy the bank calls on a Thursday afternoon, that guy's apartment should probably look a little different. You find a place, same neighborhood, 2nd bedroom, kitchen where the appliances all match, $430 more a month. You open the compounding calculator tab. Number loads. You look at it for about 2 seconds. You close it. You sign the new lease. First night in the new kitchen, you just stand there and look at the appliances. You feel something. You're not totally sure it was worth $430 a month, but you feel something. 3 weeks later, your friend calls. Year younger than you. Makes less. He's putting in an offer on a duplex. You ask how. He says, when he got his raise 3 years ago, he just kept the old apartment and put the difference away every month. You ask why he never mentioned the raise. He says it didn't feel like something to mention. You hang up and just sit there for a minute. 3 years ago, you got a raise and upgraded the apartment. He got a raise and didn't say anything to anyone. You don't say any of this out loud. You just sit in the 2nd bedroom you're using as an office and look at the matching appliances through the doorway. They still match, for whatever that's worth. The net worth number crosses 150,000 on a Tuesday morning. You're brushing your teeth when the notification comes. You read it in the mirror. You rinse. Put the phone face down and finish getting ready. But something is different, and you know it. You've been watching certain rooms for a while. Not staring, just noticing the way people in those rooms order without checking the right side of the menu. The way they mention things casually that used to feel far away to you. The way they don't over-explain themselves, the way you still catch yourself doing sometimes. You're closer to that now. And being almost there turns out to have its own price tag. The invitations start arriving. Not formal ones, soft ones. A colleague mentions a dinner. Founders and operators, very casual, you should come. A newsletter you've been reading for a year announces a 2-day retreat. Early bird is $800. You screenshot it, you think about it for 4 days, you register on a Friday afternoon and close the laptop kinda fast, like someone might see. You go. The content is fine, speakers are good, but that's not why you're there, and you know it, and everyone else there knows it too, about themselves, but nobody says it out loud. You're all there for the room. You come home with 14 contacts in your phone and one conversation that actually goes somewhere. The other 13 were fine and complete and will never get past the email you send Monday morning that gets a polite reply and then nothing. Weekend costs $1,200 and 2 days. You tell people it was worth it. You're still not totally sure. While you're figuring out the room you spend on the things that approximate fluency. The right hotel, when the conference has options at every price point. The restaurant you suggest because you've been there before and you know how to navigate it. The flight upgrade, not business. Just out of the last row, out of the middle seat, into the part of the plane where nobody's elbows are touching yours. You upgrade to premium economy. You order the wine when the cart comes. You've never done that on a plane before. It costs $14. You drink half of it. You feel like someone who drinks wine on planes. $14. Except really it's the $14 plus the hotel upgrade plus the retreat plus the dinner plus 6 months of every small thing you've been buying to send the right signal. The wine is just the one you can see. At a conference dinner, you're seated next to a guy who runs a fund. Not a huge one, real though, 11 years. He's wearing a jacket that's slightly too big for him and doesn't seem to notice or care. He orders the chicken. He asks you questions and actually listens to the answers instead of waiting for his turn. At the end of the dinner, he picks up the check for the whole table. 12 people. He doesn't make a thing of it. Just hands the card to the server on the way back from the bathroom. Nobody sees it happen except you. You think about it on the walk back to the hotel. Not the money. Just the way he did it. Like it genuinely wasn't a performance. Like that version of needing it to look like something had just worn off at some point, and he never went back. You get back to your room. You look at the minibar. You close it. You sit on the edge of the bed and answer 3 messages from people you met today. Professional, warm, exactly the right length. You put the phone down. You sit there for a bit. Something about tonight is working. And something about it also feels off, and you're not sure you can figure out which is which right now. So you just sit there. 3 months later, different city, different dinner. Somewhere in the middle of it, you notice everyone else at the table seems actually relaxed. Not performing relaxed. Just relaxed. You order the chicken, you listen more than you talk. On the way out, you take 2 cards, the 2 conversations that were actually real. You walk back to the hotel alone. It's cold. You don't mind. You're closer to the room than you were a year ago. That part's real. But the room keeps moving. That part's also real. The brokerage account crosses 6 figures and stays there. You check it differently now. Less often. That background anxiety, the one that used to show up every time you open the app, it's mostly gone. Sleep morning. Some mornings the number is higher than when you went to sleep and you didn't do anything. You just slept. You'd think that would be the end of it. It's not. You're still spending on permission. You just can't see it as clearly anymore. The private banking division calls on a Wednesday. Not the regular branch. Different floor, different voice. Unhurried in a way that's clearly practiced. He says your account activity has qualified you for a higher tier of service. He'd just like to introduce himself. No obligation. You meet him at a place he suggests. Small table near the window. He's already there when you arrive. Water on the table. He stands when he sees you. He asks about your long-term vision. He remembers the detail you mentioned 20 minutes ago and brings it back at exactly the right moment. He uses the word legacy twice, not heavily, just lets it sit there. You feel seen in a way the app never made you feel. And that feeling, that's what you're actually buying, not the portfolio, not the returns. Him remembering your name and standing up when you walk in. The management fee is 1.4% annually. He says it inside a longer sentence and moves on. You don't stop him. The conversation is warm, it has momentum. You don't want to be the person who makes it weird. He's not a bad person, he probably genuinely believes in what he's selling. He also has a number he needs to hit this quarter. The fee hides inside the relationship and compounds quietly for years while the quarterly calls keep coming and you keep not asking the question. You sign over a second coffee, he walks you out, he says your name when he says goodbye in a way that feels like he'll remember it next time. He will. That's part of the product. The flights change at this level, not all of them. Just the long ones, the 6-hour ones where you land and go straight into something important. You book business class. You don't deliberate the way you used to. Something has already decided before your hand moves. Here's what's actually different up there. When you put the headphones on before takeoff, the engine noise drops away and there's a kind of quiet that just doesn't exist 40 rows back. Nobody's elbow is in your ribs. You have enough room to sit like a normal human being. And when the drink comes, it comes in a real glass. You hold it, you look at it for a second longer than you need to. You've been on a lot of flights. That's the first time you thought about the glass. There's a guy you meet at a conference, 63. Sold something real about 8 years ago, worth significantly more than you. Wearing a fleece vest that pills at the collar and shoes that look like he genuinely hasn't thought about them since he bought them. He orders tap water. Doesn't look at his phone once in 40 minutes. His questions are more specific than most people's. Like, he actually heard your answer before forming the next one. At the end, he says something offhand that you keep thinking about. He says he spent years trying to look like he'd made it. And somewhere in there, he realized that was the whole problem. The day he stopped caring about, that was the first day it actually felt real. You shake his hand. You walk to the next session. You're wearing a jacket that cost $900. You bought it 3 months ago and told yourself it was practical. You think about that on the walk over. You don't think about it long. The session is starting. That night in the hotel room, you take the jacket off and hang it up and look at it for a second. You put it on again the next morning without thinking about it. Here's the thing that hasn't changed. The question is still there. Same question you had at level 1, just wearing different clothes. The glass on the plane, the jacket, the jacked, the banker who stands up when you walk in. You're still buying answers to it. The answers just cost more now, and they're a lot easier to mistake for something else. The number crosses 1 million on a Wednesday morning. You're in the middle of an email when the notification comes. You read it, you put the phone face down, you finish the email, you reread it, you change one word, you send it, then you pick the phone back up, you read the notification again. You thought this would feel different. You'd been carrying around this idea of what crossing it would feel like something finishes, like you'd know you'd arrived somewhere. It feels like a Wednesday morning. The email is sent, the number is real, your coffee has gone cold. You drink it anyway. The money working on your behalf is now larger than the money you earn from working. It moves at night, on weekends, while you're in meetings about something else. It doesn't need you to pay attention to it. You'd think that would be the end of all this. Here's what nobody really prepares you for. For however many years, the number organized everything. It explained why you said no to things. It was the reason behind the reason. It was the answer when you asked yourself why you were doing any of this. Now the number is done, and you're still asking the question. Not the financial one, that one's answered. The other one, the one that was sitting behind it the whole time, waiting. You don't ask it out loud, nobody does. It just shows up as this low-level restlessness you can't quite shake. Things that should feel like enough feel a little flat. You got exactly what you said you wanted, and it's real and it's good, and also, it's just kind of there now. The working toward it was a different feeling than the having it. You don't have a great explanation for that. Most people at this level don't. The offers that arrive at this level don't look like products. They look like belonging, an invitation to join a syndicate, an advisory board seat, a private club, 3-year waiting list, annual fee, $18,000. And the thing you're really paying for is that getting the call means you're the kind of person who gets the call. None of it comes with a brochure. It all arrives person to person, framed as access, not purchase, like you're being let in rather than sold to. That distinction matters to you. You want it to be access. You write the check for the club, not for the facilities. You write it because the 3 years on the waiting list and then the call and then walking through the door, that whole sequence means something to you. And here's what's shifted from every level before this. Before, you were buying permission from outside. From colleagues, from the algorithm, from the salesperson who asked what you were comfortable with monthly. The audience was always somewhere out there. At this level, that audience has mostly gone quiet. So the permission buying turns inward. You start needing to convince yourself that this is real and isn't going to disappear. That the guy who was moving $60 on a Sunday night at level 2, that he's actually gone and not just hiding somewhere waiting to tell you this was all a mistake. He's not gone, he just got quieter, and keeping him quiet has its own cost. You have lunch with a woman who crossed this number 15 years ago. She's unhurried in a way you find slightly uncomfortable at first. She doesn't fill silences. When she asks a question, she actually waits for the answer. Halfway through, she says she spent about 3 years after crossing it still performing, still acting like she needed to prove something. And the weird part was, everyone else had already stopped watching. She just hadn't noticed yet. You ask what changed. She looks at the table for a moment. She says she just got tired of asking the number to tell her who she was. The check comes. She picks it up before you can reach for it. No gesture, no moment. She just picks it up and the conversation keeps going. You drive home. The car is good. The road is clear. You have a call at 3. You think about what she said most of the way home. The call goes well. You're good at what you do. You've always been good at what. That night, you sit at your desk after everyone else is asleep. You open the brokerage app. You look at the number. You close it. You sit there for a while. The question is still there. It's been there the whole time. And the tricky part about this level is you're the one selling yourself on why it can wait a little longer. And you're pretty good at closing that deal. There's no ceiling at this level. Every level before this had a gap you were closing. The gap gave everything a direction, why you got up early, why you said no to things, what you were doing all of it for. The gap is gone. What's left is just space. And space is a stranger feeling than you expected. The math is gone too. That background calculation that ran before every purchase. Can I, should I, what does this cost me? It's just switched off. You buy what you want when you want it, and the account doesn't move in any way that matters. You thought that would feel like freedom. It does, kind of. But it also feels like something went quiet that you didn't realize was keeping you company. The thing comes. You use it. It joins the other things. Not much happens after that. The question that used to show up with every purchase, you stop noticing it. Or you think you do. Everyone around you starts talking about legacy. The advisors, the attorneys. Words like generational, foundation, enduring impact. These are real conversations worth having. Some of what gets built at this level is genuinely good and matters. But underneath the actual planning, there's something else being sold. The idea that you can finally make the answer permanent. That if the right name goes above the right door, the question of who you are gets settled. Locked in. Outlasts you. It doesn't work like that. A name on a building is just a very expensive, very public version of the same thing you've been doing since level 1. The question doesn't go away. It just gets a plaque. There's a guy you've known for a few years. 8 figures. Still lives in the same house he bought when the number had 5 digits. Kitchen table has a burn mark from a candle that fell over in 2011. He never fixed it. Doesn't think about it. He drives a car he's had for 9 years. You asked him about it once. He said he knows who he is and the car doesn't really change that either way. Not a speech about it. Just a fact. On his desk, there's a watch. Small, digital, scratched crystal, band replaced once. He bought it at 23 with money from his first real job, the week he felt for the first time like he was actually building something. He doesn't wear it. Just keeps it there. You asked him about it. He picked it up, turned it over, set it back down carefully. He said that's the last thing I bought that wasn't an answer to something. Everything after it for a long time was. The clothes, the car, the apartment, the upgrade, the club. All of it answers. To a question he said he should have just sat with, he said eventually, I sat with it. You looked at the watch, $40 maybe. Sitting next to things that cost 1,000 times more. You looked at your own wrist. You didn't say anything. Neither did he. You're somewhere on this right now. Maybe you're at level 2, moving $60 on a Sunday night, smiling at brunch the next morning, nobody seeing both. Maybe you're at level 5, spending on Signal and not totally sure it's working. Maybe you just crossed a number you spent years moving toward and you're waiting for the feeling to show up. It's fine. All of it is pretty normal, actually. Tonight you'll probably open a tab. A review, a comparison, that cart you left open yesterday that's been sitting in the back of your head. And most of the time that's just fine. You need a thing, you buy the thing, that's the whole story. But sometimes before you press anything, it's worth asking yourself one question. Not whether you can afford it. Just what are you actually hoping happens after you buy this? Sometimes the answer is straightforward. You need it, it does what it does, done. But sometimes the answer is something the thing was never going to be able to do anyway. And the sooner you figure out which one it is, the less it costs you. Not just the money.